Watch me set up my camera like I've never done it before. But I have multiple times. I'm just kind of an idiot. Whoop! Hello! Welcome back to my channel, and guys, it has finally happened. We're here. It is the big, super secret project that I've been working on, and there's going to be more like this the whole year because why am I doing this build-up? You saw the title. I'm sewing through the Zodiac. The Western Zodiac, to be specific. So like, you know, like Aquarius and Pisces and Taurus, which is what I am. So yes, I had this idea sometime about the middle of last year that I wanted to do costumes for each of the characters of the Zodiac. And I wanted to do original costumes. I've been looking at a lot of art recently, and it's just like, oh, that seems like a good plan. So that is what I started on this year. And we're starting off with, I forgot to put it in the frame. Sit right there, sit, stay. Here it is, project number 1, Aquarius. It sucks because you can't see the best part, which is the skirt. So, the first one is Aquarius, which runs from January 20th to February 18th. I realize that I am like tiptoeing that line of it still being the time of Aquarius. Honestly, I had planned to have this up like a week and a half ago, but for unforeseen circumstances, I pretty much lost a weekend of working on this project, and I went a little ham with the beading detail, as you can see, as well as all the details on the skirt, which I actually just finished today before I went outside and shot in this glorious weather. I still think the pictures turned out good. Anyway, this is number 1, Aquarius. Let's start talking about this dress. Before we get into the voiceover and the full breakdown, I'm going to show you what pattern I used. I used McCalls 7685, which is this cool pattern. I initially wasn't going to use this pattern. I had a whole like drawn up idea. I wanted to go based on a Grecian goddess or Greek and Roman style clothing, which was basically a chiton? I don't know how you say that. I was going to tell me how to say that. Chiton. Okay. Chiton, not chiton. Chiton. Can you tell I'm American because I suck at saying things in other languages? Anyway, it's pretty much just one big piece of fabric that you have ties across the shoulders, and you have a belt that pretty much cinches it all together. That was my initial thought. That's what I was going with, and I had all these designs for a very detailed and elaborate beaded belt, and these cool like star and moon arm closures. And then I got my fabric in from Fabric Mart, which I had ordered a grotesque amount of, and yeah, my fabric, which is this really nice like polyester sky blue pleated thing. It's a little bit stretchy. Yeah, this is the selvage. So all of the detailing goes this way. It's all horizontal. And I wanted it to be vertical, like this. And it wasn't. So when I realized that I did not have a wide enough stretch of fabric to cover me from shoulder to toes, I kind of had to scrap that idea, which sucks. I may go back and remake another chiton? Okay, great. Anyway, so I nixed the idea of the chiton and went with this McCalls pattern, which was kind of a lucky find. I was like 2 days from starting this project, and I just got my fabric, realized it wasn't going to work. I had only one small panic attack-ish, sort of. I'm lying, it was a big one, because I didn't know what I was going to do, and I really liked this fabric at the start of this project. We'll get into that. And yeah, so I went to Joann's. They were having a McCalls pattern sale for like $1.99 a piece, and I was just flipping through, just looking for something that might work, and lo and behold, I found this pattern. And while I did not do everything this pattern specified, the bodice specifically worked out really well. But let's get into the tutorial and the voiceover. Take it away.
Okay, so we're going to start with the skirt for this project because the skirt's what's going to take the longest just waiting wise. So what I did was I laid my fabric out on the fold with the horizontal stripes going one direction, and then cut just a large square big enough to accommodate my skirt pieces. Since this fabric is polyester and a little stretchy, it's kind of hard to cut all in one go. But then once I had the square pieces laid out, I could put the 2 layers together and then just mark them out and cut out the skirt pieces in one big bit. It was a lot easier with this fabric. After that, I just pinned all of my side pieces together, and this is when I started to realize that this fabric choice was kind of questionable because pins did not want to stay in this fabric. It just didn't want to work. I had to put them in at weird angles, but I got it done, and I tried to use the Demon Serger machine that I own, which when I first got it worked like a dream. I used to finish all of my projects with this, and I've always loved it. But then something happened, and now it does that. And yeah, here's how my seam ended up. It was like, oh, nice seam. Okay, looking good. Maybe a skip stitch here or there. What is that? Ugh. Anyway, let's move on. After the skirt was all put together, I wanted to ombre dye it, so I hair tied the top part together and started boiling my water. I used 2 colors of dye, so I threw in this like navy blue polyester dye first, got that bubbling away. It's turned a nice, pretty cerulean color. Yeah. And then I threw my skirt in there and just let it soak. I let it soak in increments of about 2 to 5 minutes. So once it had soaked for a few minutes, I pulled it up a little ways, gave it a stir, let it, kind of mix around a little bit. And I'm keeping my water on like a low heat this whole time. And then I pulled it up a little higher and just kind of stirred it a little bit more. And this is what's going to give me that ombre effect. And I got to about this point and made a pretty stark realization.
Okay, so I'm an idiot. If I add purple to blue dye, it doesn't do anything. It may get a little bit darker, but it's not what I want. So I'm going to add red to this blue dye, and it'll give me more of a purple tone. Because this is a little bit darker, but it's not what I want. So we're going to put some red in there and make this pop like crazy. Freaking popping, man. Alright, that's 3 minutes. Repeat. We're going to pull this out a little bit more. Go. Let's shake this real quick. Well, I've been doing this for about 15 minutes or so. There we go. Let's not touch that with our bare hands, Carly. That's a bad plan. Now see, that's the purple I wanted. Haha, basic color theory.
Yeah, so red, blue dye, those work. It works together. And now I'm missing the footage from me rinsing out the skirt. But hey, check out how it turned out.
The skirt is now fully dry, and it's a little kind of patchy in some places, but it works because look at this gradient. Like, it gets so dark down here at the end. Like, it's almost like a midnight blue. It turned out really good. I'm very, very satisfied with how this looks. So let's get this party started.
Okay, now we're into the complicated bit, which is the bodice. So the bodice had 2 main pieces, which was just a front and a back, and they also had a backing piece, which I made with blue cotton. So what I did was I took my Devil polyester fabric and gathered the tops and the bottoms, and then I would put them on one piece of the stay fabric for the cotton. And this fabric did not want to be gathered. I had to do it all by hand. And then I sewed it down to the top and the bottom of each piece of the front and back, of which there were 4 total. So once all that was put together, then I had to try to coerce these fiddly little sides to stay in the right place because they just didn't want to, because it was just this fiddly fabric. And I don't understand why I chose this, and I'm foolish, and I need a hug. I just need a hug at this point. Good grief. Anyway, on to building. After I got the gathered pieces on to the stay fabric, then I had a second layer of this blue cotton, which was the lining. So I sewed the shoulder seams together on the front and back, so I have 2 sides, and I started kind of trying to pin this on the back side, which was foolish. So I flipped it around and pinned it to the side with the polyester fabric because sending it through my machine was a pain in the behind. So what I did was with the lining fabric underneath, the stay fabric in the middle, and then my polyester fabric on top, I pinned all of the raw edges together, making sure that the gathers were nice and even. And I'm just going to baste around the whole width of this front and back piece to keep everything in place. Because Lord knows, if something starts shifting before I move on to the next step, it's going to be a mess. All right, all of that pinned, looking good, looking fly. We're gonna take it to the machine. We're gonna baste it all together. Okay, with our main pieces put together, now we have to move on to the straps. So these have a front and back strap, which I sewed at the shoulder seam, and now I'm just gonna match up the shoulder seams. There were some notches on these straps, but I found that they weren't really necessary for putting it together. So I'm doing the front and back with the right sides facing, and then I needed to make this little back bar that goes across the back shoulder blades, and this kind of helps the bodice parts from just flying off your shoulders and, you flashing people in public. So there I am putting it in. I'm actually putting it in the wrong way. I had to go back and fix that. Once that's basted down, then it's time to put the facing in, which is another lining piece, again sewn at the shoulders, and you just sew it with the right sides together and then flip it around.
Okay, so last night while I was working on this, my camera died and I did not know, but I got the band sewn on to the bodice, and I've got the little strap across the back, which kind of almost sits unevenly. I don't know if that's just because of my dress form or what, but I also got the facing sewn in, and it's just pinned for right now. So now I'm going to get the armhole facing and band done, then I can move on to the midriff. So
now we're on to the midriff, which is comprised of 3 square pieces, kind of like the top. It's got a stay piece, the polyester gathered down on top, and a lining piece, again made from that blue fabric. And what we do with these pieces is they have inset pieces and then side pieces from this navy fabric that I used for the binding and the bands. And you sew that to right sides on the edges. They're labeled as different pieces in the pattern, but an inset, it's all the same size. So we are going to put one on each side of that, pin and baste those down, and then we're going to put like the midriff middle piece on the outside of that inset piece, and then another inset piece on the side of the midriff side piece, and you just keep going in that order until you have a full midriff completed for 2 sides. From there, we're actually going to put in some boning for a little bit of stability. And what I did was I put the lining in, basted everything together with the wrong sides facing. And now I'm going to put in some of this polyester boning. I'm cutting it down to about 3 inches with some dull scissors. And I actually went in and top stitch on those inset pieces to create boning channels. And you'll see my boning just slips right in. And again, this is actually not too difficult. If you're kind of scared to work with boning, I really suggest this kind that I used. It's this polyester like sew through boning. It's got these little holes in it. It's not nearly as nice as like spring steel boning or anything like that, but it gets the job done. It's not expensive. You can get it on Amazon, and it's real good for beginners. Once those were done, I actually had a middle band that I had to top stitch down. I had waited until after I'd put the boning in and everything, and I don't know if there's another time I could put this in because I'm using boning, but that's top stitched. And now we're moving on to attaching the bodice to the midriff. I attached the top band, and apparently my footage for that was lost. So here you see me trimming down the seam. I just put it right sides together on the bodice pieces. And then I'm going to attach that band right sides together to the top of my midriff pieces and pin those all the way around and then sew it. There is a very deep V, and there's a little bit of space between the midriff pieces in the center, and they only meet up once the midriff reaches that bottom band portion, which you can see me sewing on in this clip. The bottom band is attached to the front of the midriff with right sides together and sewn all the way around. You'll see my issues with this.
okay, so I let this sit for a couple days because the bottom band does not reach all the way across, and I don't have any more, so I'm gonna have to make like a little patch to put right here. But I don't hate this as much as I did a couple days ago. This is crooked and in the wrong place.
I'm trying to decide if I want to unpick this and then put it where it should be. I don't know. I'm a little frustrated. I need to fix that. It's just, it's too noticeable. So I'm going to fix this side. Everything else fits. I'll add a patch to this, and then I can put the skirt on. So here's hoping.
Later.
All right, we've got the bodice attached to the skirt. And if I may say so myself, I love it. I think it looks really great. There's obviously a couple things I need to tack up here so that it sits right. And of course, there's still a lot of hand sewing to be done on the inside of the dress. But the end is in sight. At least it's put together. But I think it needs a little something. What do you guys think? Ah, I know what this needs.
Yes, overall notes. I'm pretty satisfied, especially with the fit of this, with the exception of maybe the shoulders. I think they're a little too wide for me. And I feel like I skipped a step with this bodice because this front panel is supposed to be gathered down a bit to meet with the side seam right here, which, as you can see, mine extends back a little bit. I did that mostly for coverage because who knows, I may wear this out in public. I am that person. I would totally do that. So yes. And the only other thing, I kind of ran out of time. Well, I ran out of time, and also I'm really ready to get on to the next project in the series because I finally got all my materials. I'm super excited about it. And the skirt is not as detailed. It's all rhinestoned at this point. I used about 250 flat-backed, multifaceted rhinestones for this, and I wanted to do a bunch of beading and stuff in the skirt too, which I might still add in the future. Who knows? Maybe I'll redo a lot of this. But yeah. Also, the back closure. The pattern calls for a zipper, and I actually just put in 3 hooks and bars because I wanted something I could put on by myself. And yes, none of the back is beaded or anything. I only did the front because there's a lot of hand sewing. A long time. But yes, overall, very satisfied. That went exactly with the kind of idea I wanted to go with for this project, a very Greek Roman style, a kind of a goddess style dress. I wanted it to be very detailed. I wanted to have a lot of embellishing. Just, yes, I think it turned out very pretty. I especially love how the ombre dye on the skirt worked out. I think it's just, it's like that post on Tumblr, the color of the sky. I think I said something about that on my Instagram not too long ago. But yes, overall, satisfied. Am I ready for the next project? More than. Are you guys ready for a new project? Probably. If you are ready for a new project and you want to see the rest of this series, hit the like button down there. And if you guys really want to keep up with this series, make sure you're subscribed and ring the bell notification because I may wait till the last day of a star cycle to post a video because that's who I am as a person. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye!